It's so wonderful to see so many beautiful and familiar and new faces in the audience. Welcome to the Grolier. Thank you so much to this beautiful Cathedral of Poetry for hosting Lily Poetry Review Books tonight. We're so grateful to be here, grateful to James and all the associates at Grolier. We have three fantastic poets tonight, and I think you'll all be mesmerized. The first up is Cynthia Bargar, and her poems have appeared in Rogue Agent, Book of Matches, Lumina, Comstock Review, Driftwood Press, Stoneboat Literary Journal, and others. Sleeping in the Dead Girl's Room is her debut collection from Lily Poetry Review Books. Her prose poem, St. Mary's Beach, is included in the new book of images and text, Our Provincetown, Intimate Portraits by Barbara Cohen, published by Provincetown Arts Press. Cynthia is the associate poetry editor at Pangyrus Lit Mag. She lives in Provincetown, Mass. With cartoonist Nick Thorkelson. Sylvia Plath wrote in her journal, "Why can't I try on different lives, like dresses, to see which fits best and is more becoming?" Plath was presumably trying on lives by choice. Imagine if she were anchored to a life before she were ever born. Christine Jones writes in her review of Cynthia Bargar's debut, "What is the meaning of our existence when we are born into a family following a terrible loss, especially when we are named for the loved one lost?" Sleeping in the Dead Girl's Room grapples with an 18-year-old's presumed suicide months before the birth of her niece. Engaging with documents, photographs, memories, and an unspoken presence, the book entwines the aunt's death with her niece's mental health history and hospitalization. They share a name, Cynthia. When they call my name, they are calling hers. These poems confront intergenerational grief and its secrets, the treatment of woman in the modern psychiatric hospital, and the nature of self when twinning has occurred. Sleeping in the Dead Girl's Room was named an honor book by Mass Center for the Book. At once a ghost story and a journey of discovery, an act of capacious empathy and desperate disidentification, Cynthia Bargar's Sleeping in the Dead Girl's Room is a deeply moving and quietly devastating debut. You'll notice in this reading, through a series of poetic dialogues, these poems reassemble the pieces of a self who dares to move toward help and hope.
Thank you, Eileen, so much for that beautiful introduction. And thank you, Grolier, for this wonderful opportunity. People keep saying, "You're reading there, you're reading there." It's like amazing to me. So I'm going to read some poems from my book that Eileen mentioned. And if there's time, I'll read a few others. So Eileen sort of set the stage for my book. The first poem in the book is a long one in 8 parts, and I'm going to read that first. And it's called Creative Nonfiction. 1. You, who is the I, are the patient. You and your brother stand in the back of the ambulance. No stretcher, no straps, this gray February day. No sirens, no careening down Storrow Drive or up the Jamaica Way. Your brother pleads, "Why are you acting like this? It's not funny." He walks in the door of the mental hospital with you. Your father is there, pacing, does not look at you. You offer him a wallet-sized photo of the Swami, your guru. Hope it will calm him down. He says, "Sign the yellow form, make it voluntary." You sign. Despite the shot in the emergency room at the regular hospital, you are still high. They lock you in a ward. You have nothing, no book, no hairbrush, no glasses, no keys. This place is locked up tight. Alarms blink and blare when you try to open the door. Someone always watches, always sees. This is not sad for you. You were the one who laughs, the only one. An adventure, like an acid trip. You have no key. Key is not a metaphor. 2. The other Cynthia, the she who is not the I, visits. Vapor. The she is vapor. Faceless funnel. The she vanishes. 3. The she who is not the I haunts and blesses. The I is driftwood covered with barnacles, as is the she. The she is organza, drenched, illuminated, as is the I. Who knows this? Is the haunting a fact? Is the blessing a truth? The she appears to be sleeping. The I is sleeping. The she is gone. Is this what truth is? Always an echo, not twins, because the I is a body. The she is vapor. There are no vapor body twins. How do you know this? On the recording, your brother asks your mother, who says, my in-laws had lost their daughter. We named our daughter after her. My in-laws, shh, shh, my in-laws, shh, shh. 4, nope, sorry, 4. Upon release, the I who is me is a body whose long hair smells like the mental hospital dumbwaiter. I get a buzz cut from a friend. My cousin asks, did they buzz your hair off in that place? Disbelieves me when I claim it's a fashion choice. Lithium makes the body grow fat. I am round and shorn and will stay like that for years. Eat cookies all day long, M&Ms every color. Pair alcohol and lithium and puke out the car window. Soon we'll renounce Jack Daniels, dry vermouth, later lithium. Mine is a body in revolt. It asks forgiveness, remembers vapor, misses vapor. 5, cookies. On the recording, your mother says she didn't want you eating cookies all day long. All day long? Did the I eat them all day long? You know you did. Is it too bad your brother didn't ask your father? Your father would not have answered. Your father locked the dead she away, would have said, you don't need to know. Stop asking questions, too many questions. You know your father, or do you? The details and the pictures come later. 6, maybe one picture. Sylvia Plath on Winthrop Beach, sunbathing on the rocks, right where you see the she in the sun on her last day. You look at the picture of Sylvia Plath in a book. Your mind holds the picture of the she. You know everything, or think you do, about Sylvia Plath. You know nothing about the she. Or maybe it's the other way around, a summons, a haunting. 7, listen, mosquitoes, rain and high tide, they hatch in the marsh among the cattails. Larvae attached to the roots submerge until mature. Let's name them scourge, known to enter homes solo or coupled at night. These vampiric bugles devil our ears, sneak between the balusters, feast till blood drunk. And then let's not name the she, shh, shh, who comes when they call the I, nor the I who comes when they call the she. Shh, shh. 8. Look, the first spring robin lights upon the rusted monkey sculpture. Look, crocuses purple in the sandy ditch by my back door. If you, the she who is not the I, are traveling through. Give me a sign. Be the fox that slinks across my lawn, rustle the vinker on the knoll, tie a ribbon on the rusted monkey's prehensile tail, or frolic with the hatchlings in the birdhouse among lint and twigs, before you emerge, covered in nursery dust, to tell me our story. That is that poem. And this one is called How You Get Here. You hide in your bed, built on stilts above your unused desk, your tiny room, your large commune, your small schemes to kill yourself at night. Night comes and you imagine yourself a corpse. Wake, furious to be alive. Doctors' free samples, pop out packaging, one blue pill and you rise. Swallow a few more and you spin. Say, I'm cured. You go out drinking, you snort some lines, you smoke some weed. You cannot stop your body. It sleeps with strangers. This is psycho mind, where you say, excellent, when they ask, how are you? And it's better, it's sparkling, it's jammed. You walk into Concord Prison, microphone in hand, video camera on your back, say, I'm a TV reporter here to interview Bud Riley. Sure, miss, no problem. The guard brings Bud, you sit on the floor behind the desk, and from your porta-pack, you pull the six-pack and the cigarette pack filled with joints neatly rolled. Your job done, you're 20 minutes up, and you are sure Brett in the high ceiling department wants to marry you, wants to take you for his bride. And so you go there, find him in the bathtub, step over the lip, submerge before you call Rabbi Wexler. He's known you since you were a child. Ask him to officiate. You call all your friends, invite them to your wedding. Someone decides something's wrong. And right about when the festivities are about to begin, you find yourself here in the locked ward at Glenside Hospital. And then if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm from Winthrop, and my aunt lived there and died there, and Sylvia Plath lived in Winthrop. So I feel some energy between us, and she shows up. So this poem is called My Aunt Talks to Sylvia Plath, and it has an epigraph, What the Sluttish Rutted Sea Could Do, which is from Sylvia Plath's poem, Point Shirley. Your sluttish rutted sea churned up trouble for our families. Some call Winthrop by the Sea a fitting childhood home for you. Your words embalmed with moist and misty beach breaths, razored like the clams we love to dig. I left behind little proof of that place fitting or not fitting. Your grandmother's Point Shirley geranium bed with a hurricane-pounded shark startled 6-year-old you, while a mile away and 3 years older, I watched tall pines sway, dip, crack in my front yard, hostas airborne, their leaves like propellers on the planes whose lights we both craved, landing nightly at Logan. After that storm, did I push you on the swing at Ingleside Park? Did our mothers, Dorothy and Aurelia, nod, never speak, each already afraid? When the bell rang, I believe it was you who chased me up the hill to the Willis School. I chose to die during an August heat wave. You may have heard it was gas. So I'm going to read a couple of newer poems, one of which, thank you, Eileen, just came out in Lily, and I'm so grateful to you for so many reasons. Atonement After Sunset at Ponehenge. And this has an epigraph from the poet Lucy Brock Broido. There is no thou to speak of. No burial for these beloved remains, no breath, no whinny, no neigh, no dusty attic, no cellar damp no landfill, no capture, no pasture grasses, bolster molded stallions, no saddle soap, no stable roses, no frills festoon the wooden ones on rocker rails with tufts of straw for tails. No midway, no corral, no pony pokey, no rough beast slouching, save for hobby horses and rocking ponies. No theologies, but they're rounding the bend mythologies. In their heyday, I was young and they were all the rage, yet I never wanted one. Today, I pilgrim to the field where they circle, praise their saviors, seek to redeem myself. The sun sets, it's the eve of tomorrow, sacred day. Are there not at least 100 ways to pray? If you haven't been there, in Lincoln is this place called Ponyhenge, which is a sort of graveyard for rocking horses. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So how am I doing on time? Okay. All right. The other thing that I've been writing about quite a bit, 3 minutes? Okay, thank you. Are snakes. Huh?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to read 2 more poems quickly. I've been doing a lot of duplexes, which is a form that I've come to enjoy a lot with a lot of repetition. And this is called Snake Duplex 1. I have this really bad snake phobia, and I'm trying to write my way through it. Not in a Tinderish way, but let's meet up. Think magician, but suspect ghost, quiet ghost. Minus magic rabbits, the quiet ghost keeps busy, collaging incongruity. Busy incongruity, like a snake wrapped around a damsel's neck. Snake wrapped, not shrink wrapped, sacred choker. Weeds in my garden shouting, you better come, you better, as they weed wrap the cosmos, but I crave more sleep, want to linger, to burrow. I want you to know when I crave, I burrow. Scratchy blanket from which no exit. Scratching at the blanket, I unlatch quiet. Not a hint of tinder. Let's meet up. And the last poem I'm going to read is called, if I have it, Vanishing Point. Maybe I don't have it. Okay, I might not read it. Hold everything. I have it. Okay. So this, my brother passed away unexpectedly in September, and he showed up in this poem. Vanishing Point. She'd gone into the high grass to escape, afraid it too was filled with snakes. And this is from Kelly Groom's new book, How to Live. That was an epigraph. Branches like snakes and actual snakes. Kelly's new memoir inflamed with fears, like my brain, always afraid. What might I see in true life or in pictures? My disgust when faced with tiny holes clustered. I take 2 online tests. One says, your responses like those with severe trypophobia. The other test clears me with a low ratio. Or is it the radio playing low? No, back to actual snakes, the visual, spectral, their skins. Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981. My brother next to me, he always covered my eyes with his hand. He knew. Now he's gone, casketed 3 weeks. I wouldn't look. Thank you.
Congratulations, that was wonderful. Thank you. All right, next up, we have Hannah Larrabee. Hannah Larrabee's Wonder Tissue won the Airlie Press Poetry Prize and was shortlisted for a Massachusetts Book Award. She has a recent chapbook of poems, Dear Teilhard, exploring climate change and spirituality, out from Nixes Mate Press. Hannah's had work appear in Flypaper Lit, Heron Review, Gertrude Press, the Maine Review, Glass, a Journal of Poetry, and elsewhere. Hannah wrote for the NASA JamesWebb Space Telescope program and read her work at the Goddard Space Center. She participated in the Arctic Circle Residency with artists and scientists in October 22. Hannah received an MFA from the University of New Hampshire, where she studied with Charles Simic. She taught writing at Northern Essex Community College and the New Hampshire Institute of Art, New England College. The Observable Universe explores human wonder and temporality within the backdrop of cosmic and earthly observation. The poems move beyond the narrow confines of self into a wider frame of reference, love of people, of nature, of God, is also the forefront of this collection. From the interior temples we tend to climate collapse to the Webb telescope studying some of the oldest galaxies, the Observable Universe offers a glimpse into the world of a poet both lost and very much at home on this incredible planet. Home is a rogue planet careening through interstellar space, perhaps. And if it is, we can be grateful that Hannah Larrabee has her eye on it and that her words are in our orbit. Welcome, Hannah.
Hello. It's been a dream for me to read here for a very long time, so I want to thank everyone for being here. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd love for us to do a round of applause for Eileen and Christine for all the work that they do. I'm going to read from Observable Universe, a little bit of a couple newer poems, and then a couple from Wonder Tissue. This first one is called Deep Adaptation. It's basically a concept about how much we'll have to change as individuals and as a collective society because of climate collapse. Deep adaptation. My body, a chrysalis. My jaw, steel shut. Too busy becoming that which the earth has spun for me. A mud hollow, barn swallows, great sadness of the biosphere falling silent. Why didn't we unbuild our cities stone by stone? I still dream of kissing you, but I also listen to the whispers of trees, the chatter of birds, what they're saying about us. And there is what feels like a light left on behind my eyes. Live circuitry of a language so afraid. It is the same word over and over. Eileen let me sneak like a newer poem into this collection at the very end, so very grateful for that. This one is called Stress Eating Cheetos. It could be the constant gun deaths, or maybe the politicians high-stepping through the Capitol Rotunda at the first sign of the violence they provoke, or the extinction of Bachman's warbler, or my worry about the long-necked bird of paradise, or Ron DeSantis. Take your pick, dear Cheetos. I open your bag and it's hard to stop. Why stop? Even if you could answer that question, this is all by design, evolving to the point of Cheetos and once Cheetos, then an ever-perfected Cheetos. Flavor to texture to tongue, a golden ratio, a fractal repeating in each Cheeto. And maybe you already agree with me. So the question isn't, is this good for me? It's why have I chosen the vice that leaves all the evidence? My fingers stained electric orange, even after I've moved from the utility of fingers to my more generous mouth as I would with a lover. I'm thinking this color isn't anywhere else in the multiverse. And even if neon orange dusts the surface of some distant, lifeless planet, I'm sure Cheetos only appear in this universe, the Cheetoverse, as one might call it. And there is a question I wish every gunman would ask himself. Of all the harm imaginable, why can't it just be this, the growling disapproval of a stomach opposed to preservatives, not the shattering of bodies, the eviction of so many beautiful souls? Just once, let a friend fall asleep with their head on your shoulder. It takes a softer version of the world you build inside. Cheetos are just one language for the difficult now that must be fed. And as an act of resistance, I imagine Cheetos stuffed into the barrels of guns, or an entire bag tossed to the floor, the way she dropped my jacket so we could hold each other, because the world blessed us with this, the closer orbit of our lives. When I was a kid, I wanted to be two things, either a zoologist like Jane Goodall or an archaeologist. And obviously I didn't become either of those things, but I was in some sort of like very deep therapy cycle and had this thought, which became this poem, that maybe I am an archaeologist, but just of feelings. Archaeologist. How many times must I be asked to sit with my feelings before I become a gracious host, put out cheese and wine, maybe a bottle of Morgone, settle into conversation on a couch, let land all silences rich in feeling. You see, like an archaeologist, I am digging into the soils, the sandstones of myself, and with a delicate brush, I am unearthing the bones of feeling scattered in an ancient riverbed. I say, let the wine lighten our chests. Let us speak in that rare way. A night of conversation becomes a living love. I wrote this poem for a friend of mine, and I realized that most of my friends actually struggle with anxiety. So this is just like a poem I can give to multiple friends. And I was reading about a black hole, and it was just casually described to be the mass of 40 million of our suns, which if you can comprehend that, just let me know how you do that. But, you know, it became this poem about anxiety for my friend. So 40 million suns. Last night, my friend said that we are nearing the end of an 11-year solar cycle, which is maybe a bit like changing out of our own cells every 7 years. We're either walking around in new outfits or slowly fading out of style, which means we are, I guess, biologically passé. And I'm reading about a black hole that is 40 million times the mass of our sun, enshrouded in clouds of primordial gas. And you might as well be describing the inner life of my friend, who is herself undergoing collapse adjacent to the formation of a galaxy of burgeoning stars. And all this just means she is folding into herself in proportion to the anxiety of wanting more from a life that hangs precariously in the hands of other people all the time. Like even seeing a distant galaxy requires the lens of a much closer galaxy, which is almost like not being able to see someone completely. And yet, you know, at their center spins a perfectly proportional 0.0% black hole holding things together. Except in the case of my friend, where something as simple and brave as caring too much means she spins in a satellite of her own anxiety. And I try to love her by bringing her into view and saying something like, I don't know what 40 million suns could possibly be like, but sit a while with me in this particular place, which has one sun and a pretty quiet moon, and us here as part of some inexplicable balance of spirit. And I want for you the peace of a stand of birch trees and a small hermit thrush within singing its strange harmonious song, which is a kind of feeling not meant to be seen. All right, just a couple more. Am I good with time? 6 minutes. I'm gonna read, I was talking to Matthew, and thank you, Matthew, for coming, about persona poems. I don't know how it came up, but I've written like maybe 2 in my lifetime, and this is one of them, so I want to read it. This is called Concerning the UFO Sighting Near Franconio Notch, and there was an alleged abduction, a famous one, of Betty Barney Hill in September 1961. And all of the documents and transcripts are at UNH. I wanted to write from her perspective, and they were an interracial couple in 1961. So I feel like this concept of abduction takes on many, many different meanings. I don't need you to believe me. Just tell me how the car traveled 35 miles without us driving. Tell me exactly how the vibration felt inside our Chevy Bel Air, the stature of the White Mountains all around us. I'll say it again, there were no stars. How could they take away the night, my lips stitched to whatever was left of language? I drew you a map and still you have not found that place between those distant stars. I don't care about the size of the object, the direction of its rotation, how my mind went to something else, my dreams too, or the useless things I know somehow. Play the recordings again. No, that is not my voice. Tell me, do you have room for me here to rest my head? And if I have been returned, why can't I come home? I'll read this poem, one more. I wanted to read this piece from Wonder Tissue. We have decided to bomb Syria for obvious reasons. Just a lot of the same echoes through here. And to enter the sort of heart of the poem, or a little bit more about it, I was listening to a David Byrne piece, a classical piece called Dirty Hair, over and over and over again. And there's a single violin that just oscillates between two notes for most of the piece. And then all of a sudden it holds one note and the entire strings joins with it, which is just so beautiful, and it became part of the poem. We have decided to bomb Syria. I felt alone the same day Anthony Shadid died on horseback. His clenched lungs echoed now in the broken wombs of cities, crumbled stone, bonework, and ash. It is a faraway ache like a dream. But we can't step into a yard that is not ours, not even here among neighbors. Listen, one violin is invoking the others. It lingers, living voice of hair and wood, and the others must respond to something so beautiful. They must all break in unison, and they do. Then we are here in Syria. I open my mouth and no dust collects inside. I think of the summer night sky, boom of distant fireworks, the smoke backlit, the climbing magnitude. What if those were bombs? I am that far away from war, and no one will talk to me about this feeling. The voices in the rubble, the ones that eventually go silent, who acquires them? Who moves to speak and instead cries for help in the middle of a supermarket, stands shocked in the immaculate aisles of despair? Let yourself be that music, let yourself die. As a rule, all energy already exists and can only be displaced. Okay, and I'll read this. Home is a rogue planet, as Eileen mentioned, to wrap up for tonight. Home is a rogue planet careening through interstellar space. In some dark corner of some elaborate library of the cosmos, there's a book loosely held together, more a suggestion of a book, but a book nonetheless, where it is written that I will not feel home anywhere in this life, though the search continues as the soul, carved through time and God's attention, has its own memories of a time when home was a wheat field or an outcropping of rock, or maybe it was not on Earth at all. And what this has done to me is make me love the infinite. Space, yes, but also the well-trodden deer path through a vernal wetland near the Saco River, where I camped once and was woken suddenly by something hitting my tent, then car, so hard the antenna was still rattling by the time I unzipped and looked out with my small flashlight. Once, I sat with my feet over the side of a bed and put my head in my hands and prayed for whatever was meant for me to come. And the rest of the time, I have been trying to find it by loving each thing I encounter on Earth so much that the final flicker of the tail of a red squirrel hit by the car in front of me Feels like someone scraping the last of something from the container of my heart. And that's just it, really. Why contain it? Even at the level of atoms, we are barely held. What beckons when we look up at the stars is that someday we have to leave, or be ourselves only in transfiguration. Like God, home is a word that knows when you mean it. Someday it will dissolve upon my tongue. Thanks.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right. And last but not least, we have Shari Caplan. She is a poet, actor, and event producer with a passion for enlivening our collective imaginative potential. Shari's the author of The Red Shoes, a phantasmagoric ballet on paper from Liam House Books 2023, and Advice from a Siren, Dancing Girl Press 2016. Aware of many top hats, she has produced and performed in the Poetry Circus, the Fairy Tale Poetry Walking Tour, and other cross-pollinizations, including the Boston chapter of the Poetry Brothel, an international immersive cabaret series founded by the Poetry Society of New York. Shari's work has appeared in Gulf Coast, Painted Bride Quarterly, Sinister Wisdom, Drunk Monkeys, and others. She has earned a scholarship to the Home School in Hudson, a fellowship to the Vermont Studio Center, as well as nominations for a Bettering American Poetry Award, a Pushcat Prize, and the Riesling Award. She graduated with an MFA from Lesley University in 2014. Shari's manuscript, Exhibitionist, has won the 3rd annual Paul Nemser Book Prize. An exhibitionist, the reader is invited to explore poems as installation. In this museum, the personal and the persona variously expose and mask aspects of the speaker as she probes her bisexuality, evolution into motherhood, and how our relationships to art and desire are linked. Drawing from painting, performance art, theater, and literature, these poems and the collages, which serve as landing pads, deal thematically with the body treated as object versus whole human, how our gaze shapes our lives through desire, and how much an artist is expected to expose and expunge themselves for the audience's catharsis. And as we mentioned earlier, or thank you, Hannah mentioned earlier, that Christine Jones, my co-editor, is here in the audience. And another very important person to Lily Poetry Review Books is Martha McCullough, a visual artist and poet who is a polymath, and her brain is as wide as the sky. She's amazing. And this is what she has to say about Exhibitionist. How can I see a woman through her dark veil while the giant eyes of men fluoresce and skew the angles? In one of Shari Caplan's collages, a cut gem opens its eye above a headless, armless female torso. Caught you looking. In her poems, her eye, like a searchlight, traverses a world part carnival, part gallery, part strip club, where ponies trollop around their stripper poles, where there's a different girl on every horse, where every gaze seeks to pin down and define, every object eludes, subverts, and gazes back. And amid the contest, she illuminates possibilities of intimacy and shared constructions of love. We descend, new man, new bride, agreeing to bring only ourselves to the cave. Welcome.
Thank you, Eileen. That is the best blurb ever. I mean, Martha just got it. I wish I had a book to show you with the collages and everything, but that is forthcoming. So I'll be reading primarily from The Red Shoes, which came out this September. And then I have some exhibitionist poems as well. And I do want to say again, thank you to Eileen and Christine, and thank you to the Grolier, the good people of the Grolier, for having us. And thank you to all of you for packing the house. It's so fun to be packed in with wonderful people and wonderful books. It's just like, what a cozy, amazing space. So I'm gonna start reading from The Red Shoes. And does anyone know the Hans Christian Andersen story? Some of you do. So for those that don't, essentially an orphan girl is given these red shoes and she wears them to church, which is a no-no. So she's cursed to dance until she essentially dies. She asks to have her feet cut off. Yeah, I got obsessed with this story. I've always loved fairy tales. I love the performance aspect of it, this kind of like not being able to stop. And also I discovered the film, The Red Shoes, which nests that fairy tale ballet inside a larger story about being a woman artist and, having to grapple with, is she going to marry the man she loves and give up her career? And why does she have to do that? And so I worked on these poems for a long time, and they finally took this form. I think of this as a book-length poem. It also takes the form of a script, because I can't just do one thing. And so I'm going to read the opening poem, which kind of summarizes what this is. The Red Shoes, a phantasmagoric ballet on paper, a notation of choreography, a mirror up to our vanities, an exploration of girlish desires, a catastrophe of expression, a narration over a misogynistic proposition, a phantasma of romantic fragments in the mind of a young girl, a pattering of shoes on the stage boards, a rehearsal of the anxieties of womanhood, an incantation to reshape the tale, a spelling out of spilling out, a dance, a queering, a spell. Okay, and it's always interesting to read from this because it is formatted like a script, so there's many voices. I trust you all to go with me here. So in this first couple of pages that I'll read, we're starting with scene 1. You're going to hear setting talking. You're going to hear a narrator, the mother, the dancer, and of course the shoes themselves, because that's what poetry can do. Here, where the sky drips down in blue swaths against the painted backdrop, clouds sweep by like queens. Branches hover near the dancer's hair in the form of young men waiting to be snagged. The shop-lined roads beneath don't touch her feet, but roll underneath. Enter the mother and the dancer, capering home from class, school bag heavy with the taunts of boys. Once was a girl gifted dance, and it lifted straight to her head and split to her toes. She pranced daylight into a spotlight of her own imagined magnificence. They chase you to be close to you. They chase me because they choose me? It happens to happen, my dear. The dancer fluttering towards her reflection. A shop window's a worship place. A Mary statue in new shoes. Boxes of roses grow satin for ankles. The shoes leap out from behind their glass, float before Karen's face like rose scent. Karen, dawdlers become beggars. If red wine shimmers holy, why not my hot ankles shaking men in pews? The shoes. Child, church chills the ankles. Let us rub our red hands on your soles. We will satin them. We ignite the men at prayer. Hold your head above mother's insistent tide of propriety. For we are red, he you desire will worship. The church lilies bow and slip into your apron. Jealousy the dew to your flower. Do not trust the absence of color. White is a lesson red undoes. So we'll leave that there. She does get the shoes and put them on. And I'm going to pick it up when she is in church. Nope, I'm wrong. She is supposed to be going to church, and her mother's like, come on, let's go. The mother from inside the house, her hands enfolded in gloves like bread dough. Heron, come downstairs. God won't wait. I'm blushing my feet. I'm trussing my piglets. I'm lushing my rouge. I'm shushing my leaps. I'm fussing my rings. I'm dousing my petticoats. I'm putting on my shoes. The shoes. For we are red. Child, dance us to church. Call us your catechism. Trust us your souls. Red is a lesson we can instruct. Angels live in my skirts. Their wings ache to slice. If the censer can swing, why not me in the stained glass spotlit aisle? Lift like Hosanna. It can't all be gray death. Why roost doves in gold? Kneel to a man with lack etched into his abdomen, I pray. And go to Mary. Dazzling my eyeballs with my own red toes, lips dancing a hymn so my pride can feed on ears and ears down the pews. When I step together down the aisle with all those eyes upon me, my performer soars out above my head into the light delighting. Virgin blue drapes my essence. At the pulpit I shine, prettiest enunciation, no stumbling, even the saints stare. She waits for applause to tumble fruit into her basket. Virgin Mary as statue from the altar. Girl in my garb with star-spun hair, your desire to be seen is known to me. You see the villagers kiss my feet, but look how they taunt their own mothers. I have calcified into a fossil under their eyes. To be idolized is to be idle, unable to lift your legs. I surrendered long ago to the blue robe and gold circlet when I felt him grow and knew not where to run. The angels I claimed, and they in turn claimed me. Yes, they kiss me his bread, lay it on each tongue, but you can flood into the bronze noon of the bell, which swoops and sways like a cloud-bound woman before she leaps. Okay. Then I want to read you a bit. I have not attempted to read this before. There's a section with a couple of lovers that come into, so it's a little more playful. And this is where she's starting to spin out of control a little bit. Karen, come into the house. I'm mooning my moans. I'm moaning my yeses. I'm canoodling the moonlight and moonlighting as Madonna, Maria, Minerva, Medusa. I'm marrying each man and manning a fantasy. I'm opening the opulent and opposing the ordinary. I'm flirting with starlings. I'm starring. I'm the pageant, pleasing the peasantry. I'm dancing and dancing. Enter a lover, another, like balloons bobbing behind the dancer. Do I exist only to applaud? I feel my face melt into the wax of the crowd. I dream of lilting like a tilt-a-whirl over ovations of faces. Chase me, I'm a kite unleashed, unlamenting. I'm lending myself, rending, not minding or mending like my foremothers, living only for others. Apples spin overhead like sunspots, the shoes. His eyes are a kingdom you conquer. A woman I have become with me. Husband heads blow off in your gale, roll like apples into your lap. He cups my hood in his tongue. White lies curl like smoke into sky. Am I a ribbon tied to your kite? I like to look down the necklines. I cling to your hem to get high and let go. I'm fluting my noons. I'm flooding my room. I'm cavorting with candescence. I'm the carnival, discarding credulity, discovering decadence. I'm decorating. I'm decorous. I dance to exist. I've enough hot air for every admirer. I spiral into sky. I aspire, inspire, perspire, ascend. Her magnificence ballooned to the size of 700 ballerina tutus, carried her away. So I think we're going to leave Karen there. Up floating somewhere in the air. We'll move to exhibitionist. And it's interesting that you read the poem about Ponyhenge. I have a similar one about the dare horses of Martha's Vineyard. Has anyone been there? It's this incredible carousel, really old, very creepy looking, like old wooden horses, you know, they're kind of like striated with time. And so I actually chose some of the ones that are less directly about art and a little bit more personal. So we'll start here on Martha's Vineyard. In the sawdust starlight, we mount. My horse's nostrils red as your inner ear when I embarrass or excite you. Who doesn't look vibrant atop glazed horses, their glass eyes foggy with prophecy? Love my neon in the archaic twinkle. The horses were almost sold to collectors in 1986, before the trust kept them together. As if pieces of a love could be unscrewed from the heart and given to any old one. I don't grip the gold pole like you'd expect me to, the way I clasp you, like the night sky will fall out of its gilding. Like each passing woman will thieve a piece of your eye until there is nothing left of me. Glue me here in your iris, lashing backwards, my straddle filling the frame. Does anyone remember when Airbnb was like kind of new? So this is a poem from a long time ago. The people from this wedding are divorced. This was like staying in an Airbnb weird situation for somebody's wedding. It's called Pennsylvania Wedding. And it feels like a winter poem to me. Under winter's poised boot, a field leaping with insects. A fence keeps horses shy of us. The white one pities my persistence, but does not deign to nuzzle. The man who fixed a camel throne 10 feet up in the sycamore talked exclusively to you while we sipped syrupy wine and pretended to like it. The upturned rowboat by the house would hold us were it warmer and not punctured. A stench follows blackbirds like ribbons of sour meat. Straw cylinders huge as lion heads. Behind one, a fawn melts. God commands you to love through grit because you promised, says the pastor at someone else's ceremony. Everyone shivers through their vows. Woman as church, man as pope. We've heard the refrain, so now the cake. The stroke of cream on the small deer's chest, like a lamp at the mouth of the cave. Inclined towards gristle, I am curious, but with you, do not move closer. The bride whirls her red hair in a halo of happiness. The groom gives a little time to each of us. They have strung pinpricks of light from the dollar store on barn rafters. It hails through a rainbow while all the married dance. We are told to sit, so we watch. In the hot tub, we strip off our suits like skin. Who is the deer and who the lion? You have auburn fur, but I bear teeth. The water we midnight in, black as the rib cavity. The sky shuts its eyes. The hosts are asleep. The two have married. The cake has been eaten. The dancing has ended. The deer has been killed. I love you without promise or God. Here's an art poem. I think I'm going to end with this. Obsession at RISD, which is such a fantastic museum. And we somehow always seem to go there when it's free by accident. So I just have extra love for it. So this is an ekphrasis basically like of a museum, you know, the different pieces that you notice. Fruit tumbling down a mountain. People harangued by a bear. You look into me like a painter vibrating under a red spell. Soft edges on 3 rectangles. My vision, your vision collide. Your laugh cracks the space like lightning. Purple disguises black. We drift to different rooms. You examine a corpulent Balzac no one approved because it was true. Consider your silk rumbling my mouth. A weirdo irritates the pretty docent. It's not horribly original to cut up printouts and glue them to a mood. A woman posits an elbow on a Frank Lloyd Wright table and the alarm doesn't despair. You look at me like you've tasted my heart, and it's the most succulent hallucinogenic. And I would not be a good producer if I didn't let you know that the Poetry Brothel has a double header show on Valentine's Day, actually the 13th, so the day before Valentine's Day. So talk to me if you want to know more about that.
Thank you for joining us this evening, everybody. So we give the poets a round of applause. Books for sale. Poets will be signing books. Thank you for coming. If everyone could please move your chairs up against one of the walls, any wall.
A wall, anyone. Congratulations.